Hello everybody, today is Friday the 16th of June and I did make a mug a few days ago and I filmed it all, did a voiceover, and I will show you that in this video. Other than that, you will see I have something on my hand there. I have some strips which I actually got for my cheek to relax. It's some kind of cream on it, but I have troubles with my hand. I think it's this nerve that goes in there. Those two fingers, the small ones, are kind of tingling all the time and getting a bit, they lose their sensibility. So I'm not allowed to do anything with my hand. I have an appointment on Monday. I did call this morning. I kind of hoped for an emergency thing, but she just said Monday. So I'm having one at Monday at 9. And then we have to look at the carpal tunnel and that other ulnar syndrome, because it gets worse and worse and I cannot do anything anymore. So I need to figure out what to do. I freak out a bit about that because I need my hand. I need my hand for everything I do. So maybe I can do the sewing a bit. And that's why I did the voiceover this morning. I filmed it a few days ago, maybe even on Tuesday or something. Other than that, what else do I have to say? I did go to the Sete, to look at my cheek. It gets way better, my cheek, though, but I'll go on with those expensive things, because if I wouldn't, it would get worse. If I do something, I just spend money for nothing, but it gets better. So that's something. I hope the same thing will happen for my hand. I do something and then it gets better by itself. Will be great. Otherwise, I'm very, very worried because I need my hand. I really do. I already tried to do a bit more with my left hand, but that's not working that well. So yeah, I used those ink pads, the Artesprix. I talked about it 2 videos ago, but that video was not watchable because there was music over it. But now I did that with the infusible ink things to show you how you make that. I'm still experimenting with that. I'm also not that good with a 1-layer card, with the masking and then and watercoloring. And I have all of the colors, but they're the main colors, and there's no brown or something. I think there's no brown, but I've got black and red and yellow and green and that stuff. So I hope you find it interesting, and see you again at the end. So at first I needed to figure out how to place my stamps, and as I have to do this as a 1-layer card, I need to also think about which stamp to stamp first, and then mask it off, and then stamp the other one, especially when there's overlapping items. So I put the 2 frogs there, and then I used my Artesprix ink pad in black, and this time I didn't forget to, I kind of nearly forgot to use my masking tape first, because I need those to cut them out later. And this is now a tactic I want to remember. Always stamp them first on the masking paper and then stamp them again on the real thingy, because other way around wouldn't work because of the wet ink, unless I took the paper out, which I didn't want to do. So here we go. I stamped it once and then I stamped it twice. And from this ink, the stamps get a bit yellow, but you see which ones you really like, which stamps, and you use a lot. Helps with the guilt. And now I wanted to stamp this tree trunk over it. That's why I masked those already. I cut them out by hand, and it is good when you also, again, the mask first. When you want to cut out the mask, you can really cut it out on the black line, so it really covers the thing but has no edge around it, which will stay white once you ink blend over it later on. Normally you want to cut it outside the black line, or even with a millimeter around, but there you can really cut on the black line, because if the black line shows, that's all right. That doesn't matter. So then here's the second stamp in that spot, and then I leave the mask on because I want to ink blend it later. Then I turned it around to work on the other side. This measurement of that paper is just a bit too small for my too big for my big stamping tool, so I did it with the smaller one, which has no edges, so can overlap there. Also, I want to put that die cut in the middle there, the smile. That's why I had it as a placeholder. And again, trying to do the mask first. I had to replace those, but I cut that out. And now I have all my masks ready. I'm very proud of that, actually, to have thought of those. And then stamp them again twice. I like thick black lines. That's why I like lawn fawn images. Others have something too when it's more like, what's it called? Whimsical with many small lines. Here you saw how the stamps get discolored a bit. And then I put all the masks on my critters and items to get ready for the ink blending. And also with those cat tails, which I read them first and I thought they were called cat eyes. And yeah, they were a bit hard to cut out, but I thought if they rip off the stems, I could just leave the stems without a mask and put the things on the heads of those things. Here I took a infusible ink pen and just drew in some details. I actually wanted to have a stamp to do the waterline on top, but I don't have that. Now with the new Purple Onion design release, they exactly have something like that. I find that a bit nerve-wracking because I'm not the freehand drawer. Yeah, and I went over those lines twice to make them a bit thicker, and I actually could do it right on top of that line, which was surprising. And some more details for water. Yeah. And then now I do a big mask because I want to ink blend the water and the sky. So I need a separator. So I'm putting this over the whole panel, then draw my water line and then cut it out there. And to make placement of that thingy easier, I did, there I wrote open, unten, up and down, and drew in a few more lines just to, which I can align later on to have the mask fitting. Also where the page ends. I thought maybe I need that mark too. And then I cut that out. I love that masking tape. It's just the right width. And it is like a post-it tape, so it doesn't stick a lot, but enough. And then I think I decided to start with the water. There I have blue and green, and I've got some sponges which I've already used for that color, and also took out a fish stencil. And here I start with some green spots. I haven't used that ink a lot. It's not very easy to ink blend, but I thought water is not just blue, so I added some green. And then I started normally with those circles, small circles, and then I switched to the dotting technique because it just got more, the hue, it got more intense, the color. Then I think I try again to do it with the circles, and then it looks different. Looks like white spots there, I think. And then I went back to dotting. And I haven't done a lot like that, or yeah, so it's all still in the experimenting phase. Here I got some pink and purple. I thought some fish might be nice because it looked like there's a lot of water and nothing going on. So I did some there, and then I turned my stencil and tried to hold it up so that the colored part is not touching the paper. And I did some fish swimming the other way. And the stencil is from Time for Tea Designs. Now I went over the lines again, and in the end I see on the mug those lines didn't really go through, so that's something, or I used a lot of blue ink there, so maybe that was wrong. Then I let it dry for a bit and started with the sky. As I did, normally I would have a blue sky, but I already had blue water and I don't have that many colors. I have the main colors, so I thought about a sunset. So I start with the yellow in the middle, and this yellow ink pad already was a bit green, and by the end of this it's going to be also a bit red and orange. It's a bit heikel. It's a bit not so easy. Gets dirty very quickly. So then I try to do a nice sunset sky with that yellow, orange and red on the outside. And this mask doesn't really hold 100%. There you see with the frog that the eye has lifted. So you need to pay attention and be careful with the circle motions. That's why also I think I went to the dotting for a bit. Especially when there's small parts, they lift a lot. And once I'm finished, I'm taking off the mask. And then I thought normally you would have a mirror thingy in the water, so I tried to go over the blue a bit. It didn't turn out that nice in the end. And there you see my ink pad gets very, very dirty. I don't know how to clean that, and I don't have a re-inker to cover that up, so I don't know. But so far I've used yellow the most, also for coloring critters, giraffes and stuff. Now it was time to take off all the masks. I'm using my tweezers for that to get under the paper. And I think it wasn't entirely dry. Sometimes when you leave the mask on and you have very wet stuff on it, I did that once with sprays, then the mask got soaked and it still got through it, so that was not good. Now, switch of tactic, going to watercoloring, where I used the acrylic block for smudging on my ink, and then I mix it on there, take a little bit of water, not too much. It's not watercolor paper I use, it's normal copy paper, but I used a thicker one. I think it's 200 grams per whatever. And yeah, and also I didn't want to go with the original green, and I'm not good with that stuff, so I'm very nervous about it. But I have a lot of green there, all the frogs and the leaves, and I tried to make different greens, and there actually it slipped out of my hand, I think. So I also tried to put green on the one side and yellow on the other, and then start with the green and progress towards the yellow as I progress upwards the frog. Just to have a little, what's it called? Shading, or yeah. Try to make different greens, a bit more yellow for the cat tails and the leaves, and also cleaning it off in between. And I'm going to color the tongue, and then I add a little black, mix that to color the rest of the mouth, inside of the mouth, to have a little red black tinge. Then I got a bit nervous. I had to make brown, so I added some more yellow and orange for the tree trunk there. And I think I have a little yellow spot left, which I take then for the cutted part of the wood. And now I don't see it. The cattails, I think. And then I saw there have been white spots where the mask was too big, so I tried to fill that in with blue, which was not that successful. And then I went over the frogs again with yellow because they seemed so dark. And with that, I was done with the coloring. And then I had to figure out where to put the smile. And I had to cut it out from the back, because the idea is to have it white on the mug that I'm making. So if there's no paper, there won't be color, and then you can read it in white. And I had to cut it from the back because it needs to be mirrored. Otherwise, it's going to be the wrong way on the thingy. And there the I dot and also the inlays of the S, the L and the E are still on the cutout paper. So I put some tape on the back, which is already heat resistant tape. And then I can get it off that other paper there and fill those in, just stick them onto the tape. I'll turn them around and stick them on. And also that smile I can use for another cup, which should be in the right way then. I can just stick that on another cup or cloth or something. I just can use it for sublimation already, because those are the sublimation colors. So I was very happy that worked out. And then it was about to prepare the mug. I just lint rolled it a bit, tried to make it go around properly, make it very tight, and just put stickers everywhere I thought it would need some. And then I took some baking paper and did that form there to put it through the handle, and stuck it down with the heat resistant tape. Then pulled it around, pulled it tight, made the other cuts there. Yeah. And here's my machine. It's already warmed up. Put it in. Had some trouble with the baking paper. And then I tried to put the handle in the middle. And now I need to wait until those dots are all blinking. And then I can take it out. And it's very hot now. And I have to put it aside for a few minutes. 10 minutes at least. Which I didn't do. Because it's still very hot. And then here's the big reveal. It's always, you only know if it worked when you can unpack it. So it's a bit, you want to do that soon. And here we go. Here is my cup, mug, or whatever. And I have the wrong measurements for the panel. That's why it fades out into white. I first thought I would like that, but I don't like it that much. And yeah, there's... that's what's left over, and I keep those. So I thought maybe one more close-up to look at the things that I mentioned. Those lines are not that visible, and maybe I oversaturated it. And there you see the sunset in the water, which is just a bit weird. I did stamp this on later on too, once it was all colored. The fish, I added some little faces at the end. You can see those a bit. Those are alright. I think it was good to go over it with the yellow again, and this turned out nice. It's a bit low for my liking, but it was hard to do that from the behind. Again, that's the sky thingy. You see that was the first frog, has a lot of things. It is alright, and here's the fading out. I don't have the right measurement for the paper. I just go with a bit bigger. I struggle with very simple things. And here the line. I don't care about that. And this cup is supposed to be for Susie, who's having Martina's dog. And I also put some chocolates in there. And we want to pay her some money. So we already gave her money for the first week. She doesn't want it, but she can really use it. So we just give it to her. Et voila. And with that, I would like to finish this vlog. And thank you very much for watching. And see you in the next one.